Hello, guys. My guest today is a TV personality, an actor, an esports company owner, a NASCAR driver, and a US Naval Officer. It is my honor to welcome the first and only active duty Naval Officer competing in NASCAR, Mr. Jesse Iwuji. You're welcome to Morbidity and Mortality podcast.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on the show.
All right. I know you are very busy, so I wouldn't like to waste your time. So let's just get into it. So Jesse, I will start by asking you, how has NASCAR successfully run its 2020 season in the midst of COVID-19 pandemic?
Yeah. So during COVID-19, everything was changing in NASCAR. At first, all live sports had to come to a halt. So even for NASCAR, we couldn't have races from March of 2020 through May of 2020. And then finally, I think towards the end of May, we finally had our first race again. But during that time, NASCAR and really all of sports had to figure out a different way to pivot and be able to do something different that continues to put on sports, but just in a different way. So a lot of sports, including NASCAR, went to the virtual route and started putting on virtual events. So NASCAR put on these sim racing events where you take a simulator at home and you can race against people around the world virtually, like video games almost in a way, but it's a simulator. So it simulates real life within the software on the computer. So we would race each other on our simulators at home against, everyone in the country and around the world. And we did that, and that was a way of NASCAR keeping things going on. They would broadcast some of these races and be able to let the fans see drivers in their own homes racing against each other on this sim racing platform. So that's what really kind of gave me the idea to start my esports company, where I put on sim racing events through an organization called E-Racing Association. So that was really kind of the start of that, and what really brought that idea into my head and allowed me to go make that happen. But once we got the races kicked off again, we would go to the track and race, but we didn't have everything quite the same as it was before. We didn't have practices anymore. We didn't have qualifying rounds. We didn't have any of that. We would just show up to the track, prepare the vehicle real quick, and then go race. And no fans in the stands, nothing. And it was interesting at first, but we've gotten used to it. And things are slowly getting a little bit better, and we're slowly able to get more fans to the track now. So as the pandemic starts to dwindle down and not be as crazy as it was in the beginning, life is somewhat getting back to being normal again.
Wow, that's quite innovative of NASCAR. Wow, it's quite creative, and I like the fact that it's for the idea in you to start your own business. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's cool. I like it that way. So was there any type of COVID protocols or procedures that were created for the teams?
Yeah, there was a lot of different protocols and procedures created. When we got to the track, we weren't supposed to be that close to each other. So they didn't want a lot of people interacting with each other very close. They wanted people to wear masks. They had different, sanitization rules and procedures that were going on at the tracks. We even if for a driver who wins the race, usually in victory lane, they'll have the whole team there and everyone's hugging and congratulating each other. For during the COVID time frame, they have not allowed that. So only the driver in victory lane if he wins, and that's it. The team can't come there at all. So all these different protocols were put into place to try to keep the team safe. We were getting checked as we would come into the track every time. So they would do our temperature checks. We would do a screening form. And we do all these little procedures just to help ensure that we're creating the most safe environment that we could while still putting on live sports. Because at the end of the day, this country, America, runs off of live sports. People need to see live sports, whether they're there at the event or watching it from home. It's something that brings people together. It gives them something to look forward to. It's fun, and it's just a break from the crazy realities we deal with in this world.
It is a crazy time that we live in, and from what you've just described, it looks like NASCAR completed a full 36 race NASCAR series schedule despite the pandemic. Can you tell us more about this and your personal experience during this difficult time?
Yeah, so for me, my personal experience was, when the pandemic first hit and things got shut down, companies were, taking a break for a bit, pausing, funds were being frozen everywhere. All these different things were happening, and it was hurting the economy in different ways. So during that time, there was some uncertainty because for me, I was looking forward to putting together some different sponsorship deals with different companies, and all that stuff came to a halt because these companies didn't know what was going to happen next. So that was difficult at first, and then as the year started progressing and people started seeing some type of light, I would say there was a light at the end of the tunnel. Then things started opening up better. Then newer opportunities started coming and arising, and that's what helped me to continue the race the rest of that year. But it definitely was very a lot of things were uncertain when the season came to a halt during the beginning of the pandemic. But things have definitely gotten better since then. We continue to work hard every day to continue to find more sponsors and partners to help our journey in this NASCAR racing, uh, um, path I'm taking. But it's never easy, but we continue to make it happen, and I look forward to all the great things that are going to come.
Oh, it's never easy, Jesse. And can you tell us a little bit about the fan engagement during this COVID period?
Yeah, so fan engagement changed. We weren't able to really deal with fans at the track or see them. So what we had to do was figure out different ways online through social media to still interact with the fans. So we started doing things like virtual autographs. Usually at the track, I'll sign a lot of autographs for fans and do autograph signing sessions, but that obviously wasn't happening anymore. So what I would do is I would post a certain picture, like a hero card that I would usually sign for people. I'd post it on like Instagram, Facebook, and I tell all the fans, "Hey, if you want me to sign this for you, just shoot me a message, and I'll sign it for you." So I had hundreds and hundreds of people shoot me messages and say, "Hey, I want a signed, digitally signed autograph," and I would sign the card for them digitally and send it back to them. It was really easy for me to do that instead of having to mail a whole bunch of signed autograph cards to a lot of people because that takes a lot of time. So this was just one of the ways we were figuring out a way to pivot and still engage with the fans.
Oh wow! I hope I'm gonna get my signed autograph today, Jesse. All right, Jesse. Thanks for doing that. That's quite great. Do you mind if I ask you a little bit of a personal question?
Yeah, sure.
All right. I heard your mom is a nurse, right?
Yep. Hmm.
All right. Can you tell us a little bit how much advice you got from her during this pandemic?
Yeah, for my mom, she was there on the front lines as a nurse. She was in the hospitals and she works in labor and delivery, but she saw the COVID situation going on a lot at the hospital. She wasn't in a COVID unit, but she still got to see a lot of stuff that was going on. My
Mm,
sister is also a nurse, and she was actually in some COVID units for a while, and she got to see everything going on. And both my mom, my sister, really what they told me was like, the pandemic is real, COVID is real, but the biggest thing is just be smart. Like both of them never caught it. My mom just recently got vaccinated, but during this whole time she never caught it, and she was at the hospital. It's just you have to be smart. Wearing your mask, being smart. Gloves, hand sanitizer. Just being clean, and just overall just being smart. I think a lot of people who were able to dodge COVID over the last year and some change are people who were usually taking a lot of different precautions, everywhere they went. Me included, I took a lot of precautions. I would, make sure I was always, one, eating right and staying healthy, always staying in shape, staying physically fit so that, I wasn't, susceptible to different things. And then also to just, being clean, I carry hand sanitizer with me at all times. I wear my mask when I'm in public, I try not to touch things all the time that other people touch. I just do little things to try to beat the COVID-19 pandemic.
yeah, it takes a lot of personal responsibility, to beat this COVID. And I'm grateful that both your mom and your sister, who are nurses, survived this hard time, of the virus. So during the playoffs at Darlington Raceway in South Carolina, do you know if any of the 16 participants got the virus? If yes, were they allowed to participate in the playoffs?
Yeah, so during the pandemic, I'm not sure There was some throughout the year. There was a few drivers and some crew members who did end up getting COVID-19, and no one ever figured out if it's something that happened because they went to the track or if it's something that happened at home. A lot of times, it was just at home. It would happen before they even got to the track, and then they would test, and then all of a sudden couldn't go anymore. So a few people did. It wasn't like a huge breakout. Even with us continuing to race each week, there wasn't any huge breakout. We never once had a time where a mass amount of people caught it. It was just one Z, two Z's here and there, which it's going to happen no matter what, whether we're at home or going to racing. Some people are just going to get it. But that was pretty good. So as far as Darlington, I can't remember exactly what ever happened for those races because we had a few Darlington races last year. I think they had
Okay.
like two or three. I can't remember. But for the most part, most people were pretty safe, pretty good. Some people still caught COVID, but it was not a big number. It was very, very small. And for the amount of races that we do, that's actually pretty good.
Hey, Jesse, before we end this show, I will honestly like to thank you for your service for this country, America. You guys lay your life, in protection of democracy, and I want to give a big shout out to you and your crew.
Yeah, thank you so much. And yeah, we'll continue to fight the good fight.
Right. Any final thoughts or comments for us?
Yeah, no, final thoughts. For those out there listening, go after your goals, go after your dreams. Don't let anybody tell you that it's not possible. Look at me. I'm a guy who was just in the Navy who decided to go from driving warships to driving race cars at 180, 190 miles per hour. So anything is possible in life as long as you put your mind to it, you have faith in God, you continue to pray to God and give your all to God. He'll provide a way. You'll make it to wherever you want to go. Just stay faithful, stay consistent, grind every single day, and life will reward those who stay strong enough, long enough.
Life will eventually reward those who stay strong. And Jesse, thank you so much for coming to Morbidity and Mortality podcast.
Thank you.